This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, hi team. In the last session, we have seen what is data provider and how to get the values from the Excel sheet. Okay, and also we have seen how to get if you have multiple rows. So how to get this using map as well as list of map also. Okay, this concept we have seen in the earlier session. Now we are going to discuss about something called annotations. Okay, so from the beginning we have been writing a common methods, so that is called as array test, right? So in TestNG, whatever you write like this nothing but a annotation for you. Okay, so there are different annotations that are present in TestNG. Okay, the first lower level, I mean I would say the most common thing that we will be using it, array test. Okay, so in the beginning of the TestNG, as I said, this nothing but a test case for us. Okay, so each and every test case that we are going to plan, that we are planning to write, generally we write it in the error test. Okay, this error test is nothing but a test case for us. Okay, now I have created a class. Okay, so here you can see the separate package I have, and I have created a class my TestNG1. Okay, I have created two methods. One is, let me change this name. For example, this is some apply leave functionality. Okay, apply leave functionality. And here also, for example, verify leave functionality. Verify leave functionality. Okay, I'm just taking these two are the different functionalities that we need to write the test case. Okay, now we all know every test case needs some prerequisite and post requisite. Okay, like for example, apply you have to apply leave. That means you need to log into the application, and then once you done with your test case, you have to log out from the application. And similarly, first you have to launch the browser, and then after test case is done, you have to close the browser, right? So these kind of prerequisite that you may have to perform before each and every method. Okay, so how can we add those kind of prerequisites in TestNG? Okay, now the first one we are going to see, for example, in this case, so what happens, so run as TestNG, though both the test cases will be run based on their, as I did not provided any of the priorities, definitely it will go by the names. Okay, so let me run it. Okay, you can see method apply leave and method verify leave. So what is my requirement? My requirement is, before executing this test case, I want to log into the application, and after executing I want to log out. Okay, so here I will say at the rate. Okay, so here in the annotations you can find out one method that is called as one second guys, it is getting loaded. Here you can see before method. Okay, so you can see org dot testng dot annotation. Okay, this at the rate before method will be executed before each and every test case. Okay, for example, I am referring as test case, guys. So whenever I say test case, this is nothing but a at the rate test. Okay, so here let me say public void. You can give any name here, there will not be an issue at all. Okay, so for example, log into application or launch and log into application, anything is fine. Okay, so log into application, and here if I say system.out.println, I am log into application. I'm just writing as common sentence like this. Okay, so that's it guys. So this one is a before method for us. That means before executing this test case, first it will look for it any before method is there or not. So if it is there, so definitely this method will be executed. Okay, now same thing, we have one more method that is called as at the rate after method. What we have guys, here you can see after method. Okay, now here after method you can say log out from application, log out from application. Okay, so here you can see log out from application. Now what happens if I run the program, before executing each and every test case, first it will uh, execute the before method, and then it will execute the test case based on the priorities. If no priority is found, the same concept, it may look for the alphabetical order. So once it is done, post requisite it will search for it, and if it is found the after method, it will be executing that particular specific method. Okay, so I'm just running this program, and here you can see I am logged into application and method apply leave, and I'm logged out from application. Similarly, I am logged into the application, method verify leave, and I am backward from the application. Okay, so this is very helpful and very important, guys. Before executing any of the test case, yes, definitely we need some of the prerequisites to be executed. So in a in that case, so this before method is going to be very helpful for us. Okay, so this is how the before method and after method will work for it. Okay, this is the writing in the end of the test is not an important one. You can place here also. Okay, so the order is not going to consider. First, what it will do, it will look for the test in that once it has set up the order, and after that it will look for the any before method is there or not. So once it is there, it will execute that. Once execution is done, once this particular test case execution is done, and it will look for the after method. It is not mandated that it should be written in the end only. You can write this statement anywhere. Okay, so run the program, same output you're gonna get it. Okay, now you can see the same output you're getting. I'm lagging and log out. Okay, so like this you can specify the prerequisites using before method and post requisite of a test case using at the after annotation. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Now, as we discussed this one before method and after method, we have also the other annotations in TestNG. Okay. So, for example, what is my requirement is before starting of the test cases which belongs to particular class, as a prerequisite, I want to do something. Okay. So, how can we do that? Okay. So, to do that, we have one particular annotation that is called as before class, guys. Okay. Here you can see before class you have. Okay, so when you are importing, right, so be careful, because when you say at the rate before, you can also see org.jnit. Okay, so here make sure that you are importing everything related to org.testng only. So here what I'm going to do, I will add the method something like public void, I will say before class. You can give any name as I said earlier. Okay, so I'm just giving like before class. Okay, so here system.out.println. Okay, I will be executed only once per a class. Once per a class begins, class execution begins, or you can say I will be executed only once per a class. This should be enough. Okay, so all methods get started, before all methods get started in a class. Looks like very lengthy statement. Fine, if it is clear, that should be enough. And same thing you can add it anywhere. Okay, so I'm just writing over here only. Okay, so here at the rate what we have, guys, so after class. Okay, so here let me write it like after class. Okay, now here I will be executed only once per class. Here I will say after all the methods get executed gets completed, I would say, right? So because this will be executed once all the classes methods at the test got completed. Okay, so if I run the program now, let us see what is the order it is going to follow up. Okay, now here if you see, you can see I will be executed only once per a class before all the methods get started. Okay, now the same concept whatever discussed earlier, and now the last one I will be executed only once per a class after all methods get completed in the class. Okay, now the order if you see, right, so here whenever you have at the rate test, okay, so you can have test one and slash slash, and you can say at the rate test n. Okay, so before each and every method, yeah, before method will be executed and after method will be executed. And how about class? So this class before class will be executed once per a class. For example, if you have a two classes, which belongs to two different for example, you have class 1 and class 2. Okay, and you have two methods over here, two methods over here, but before method will be executed 4 times, after method executed only 4 times. But however, the before class only 2 times, guys, only 2 times. Yeah, 1 second, guys. Yeah. sorry, yeah, you can see if you have a two classes, it will be executed only two times, because as I said earlier, before starting of the any class, this method will be executed. Once all the @, test gets completed, this after class is going to be executed. Okay, like this, how many classes are there doesn't matter, those many times it is going to execute. Okay, okay, for example, if you have a two classes, and two times before class will be executed, and two times after method is going to be executed.
This conference will now be recorded.
Now we have discussed @test and @before method, @after method, @before class, @after class. Okay. Now we have another annotation that is called as, I would say, before test. Okay, you can see before test you have. Okay, now let me add something like this. Okay, so this is before class saying that before test, okay, I will be executed only once per a test, once once per test begins. Similarly, I'm going to copy paste this one, and let me say after test, after test, and let me give the name it as after test. Okay, now I will be executed only once per test begins, once per test ends. Okay, now whenever you see this one, right, so @test is a individual test cases which will be executed, and @before method is applicable at the class level. That means whenever you have a method at test, it will start identifying this one, it will be executed. And however @before class is, it is at class level. Okay, so whenever you have before class, what happens before starting of that particular class, this is going to be executed. But this one is not belongs to any method level, does not belongs to any class level. Okay, this one belongs to at XML level. Okay, so what is mean by that? Okay, now generally whenever we have XML file, right? So let me create XML file for this. How to create, guys, in a shortcut way? You can see right click on over here and TestNG, convert to TestNG. Okay, this is giving us the test, and there are so many XML files. So let me give it as TestNG file.xml file. Next, and then finish. And if I open up this one, right? So my XML file here. Okay, there are, as I said earlier, here one particular XML file can contain only one suite. Okay, but inside of that suite you can add n number of tests. Okay, so before starting up this test, this method will be executed at the before test. Similarly, once all the execution of this particular test is done, and this test is going to be executed for you. Okay, so let me prove that, and let me try to run this program and see what's the output we are going to get it. So run as testng. Now, if you see, I will be executed only once per test begins. I will be executed only once per test ends. Okay, here you can see class gets started, class gets ended, but we will get the clear picture. Now, what I'm gonna do, I will copy paste this one, this test, and we should not give same name, guys, it will throw the TestNG exception. What I'm going to do, I have two tests, that means same test I want to execute two times. For example, this may be IE browser, this test may be Chrome browser, the other one might be in I would say Firefox browser. Okay, before starting up that particular thing, right? So we need to launch a specific browser. Okay, so in that case, this particular before test and after test is going to be very helpful for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this program and check how many times this is going to be executed. Okay, now you can see I will be executed once per test begins, and here you can see I will be executed only. Let me copy this and search how many times it is there. Now you can see it is there. Okay, now that means, what did you understand from here? This test is does not belongs to any other level, this belongs to this XML level. Okay, so here how many tests are there, those many times this will be executed. If there are two tests present in your XML file, it will be executing two times. That means before test and then after test. Okay, so you will get clear idea if we integrate this TestNG with Selenium. Okay, because before test, for example, I want to launch any browser. Let's see one example. When we are integrating the Selenium, then you will understand even clear picture. Okay, uh, that's it, guys. So here you can see two tests are there, and it is getting executed two times, and before start and before end.
This conference will now be recorded.
Now we have seen the hierarchy before test, before method and after method, before class, after class, before test and after test. Okay, now before starting up my execution, I want to do some setup. For example, I want to create the test results folder, I want to do some initialization, I want to make some connections, I want to do these things. And once the execution is done, I want to create the HTML file. So many things that we need to write. So whenever we are running the execution, it cannot be executed as quickly, right? So you need to do some setup, you need to have some prerequisite to be completed at once, only once per a entire execution. Maybe creation of a test results folder, maybe generation of a HTML report. These kind of things are very important, right? So in order to do that, we have one annotation, guys. So that is called as uh, before suit. Here you can see before suit. Okay, now this will be executed only once per the entire execution, I would say. Okay, only once. That doesn't matter how many packages are there, how many classes are there, how many before suits are there, I mean how many other tests are there, doesn't matter. Only once per the entire XML file it is going to be executed. Okay, so here if I say before suit, before suit, only once, only once per XML. Okay, and begin. Same thing, I will copy paste it, and here I will say before suit, and I will say after suit. Okay, here let me say after suit, only once per XML file, end, ending, you can say anything. Okay, now what I can do, I will run the program, and you can see the output. This should be after. Okay, now if I run the program from here, you can see run as TestNG suit. Now you can see once per only XML, and you don't find this string anywhere. Okay, so control it only one time. Okay, similarly come over here, only once per XML ending. Okay, so we all know per project you can have n number of XML files, doesn't matter. So this one XML file contains one suit and n number of tests, and one test can contain n number of classes, one class can contain n number of methods, maybe included, maybe excluded. You can do you can try with all the combinations that we learned so far. Okay, so here the important one is we will be using most of the things before class, after class we will not be using much, but rest of everything we will be implementing for sure, because before starting of execution I will create the folders. Once it is done, I may be generating the logs files, or it could be HTML files. And before starting up a test, maybe I will be launching the specific browser, and before starting up a real error test, I will be logging to the application. Okay, so most of the time in real time we'll be using everything before class and after class. Really I never used it. Okay, there may be a chance in your case, so whenever you need a specific module, you have written in the specific class, before class, if you want to perform any action, yes, you can add in that particular before class and after class also. Okay, so this all concludes, guys. So if I give you the hierarchy, right? So here let me take example in the Excel file. Here what you have, guys, so here at the rate test you have, right? At the rate test, let me maximize it. Okay, at the rate test, so each and every at the you can have n number of at the rate test, right? So one, and say for example two, and then slash slash blah blah blah, you can have n number of test. Okay, so for example TestNG and test n, you can have a number of tests, but before this you will have only one before method which will be executed each and every time. Okay, so this is before method and this is after method. It will be executed each and every time whenever these many number of tests are there. Okay, for example 5 are there, that means 5 will be executed 5 times, it will be executed. How about at the rate before class, and how about at the rate after class? What happens with this? Now this one will execute only once. For example, these n tests, six tests are there, six tests are belongs to two classes. Okay, class 1 and class 2. What happens, this one belongs to this will be executed two times, because we have two classes, before class and after class. Before starting of a any method which belongs to specific class, before that before class is going to be before class is going to be executed and after class is going to be executed. In the similar fashion, you have before test, and then here you have iterate after test. Okay, this one is at XML level. Okay, for example, if you have only one test in your XML file, here you can see one test in your XML file, this is going to be executed only once. So this one all are belongs to at class levels or method levels, but this one is purely dependent on this particular XML level. In the XML level, the test you will specify, before that it will execute, and after that it will be executed. And the main one, this is nothing but a before suit, and here you can see after suit. This will only once per XML, guys. Okay, this will be only once per XML. This is how the structure work out in the TestNG. Okay, you have before group and after group also. If you want to give a try, you can also give a try on that. Okay, and the hierarchy in XML file is going to be same, guys. So you will be having suit level, and then suit level you can specify, and test level, classes, packages also you can level, and method also you can specify. Okay, so like this you can specify different levels in the test XML file also. Okay, so as I said earlier, you can have only one suit per XML file. Okay, in the project you can have a number of XML files. There will not be any restriction for you at all. Okay, so this concludes the concept of annotations in TestNG. Okay, if you want to see the number of annotations are present, say whenever you're creating the new class, here you can observe the different annotations that we have. Okay, before method we discussed, before class also we discussed, and also we discussed about before test, and after suit, before suit, before, after method, after class, after test, after suit, and data provider also we discussed. Okay, so these 4 plus 1 9 annotations we have discussed. Okay, so everything we are going to use, guys. So as I said earlier, before class and after class very rare, but rest of everything maximum of times we are going to use every annotations. Okay, so this concludes the concept of the annotations in TestNG. Okay, so thank you, team.